All right, so polynomials. A polynomial is an expression consisting of many terms. So we have been dealing with monomials that are just one term, and we will begin dealing with multiple terms, which are split up by plus signs and minus signs, and you'll see that in just a second. So for standard form, it needs to be in alphabetical order with the variables, and the highest exponents first. So in other words, it will be in descending order. So for example, if you look at this example right here, we have the highest exponent here with a 3, then 2, and then we know that that is a 1, and then we do not have anything here, but that could technically be x to the 0 power, but we don't write that. That's just a constant. So you see that's in decreasing order. And if we also had, another variable, we could have like a y or something like that in here. That would be perfectly fine as well. So the highest exponent is called the degree. So in this example, our highest exponent here is a 3. We don't look at the coefficients, we look at the exponents. And that is how a polynomial is classified. They're classified by the degree and the number of terms. So if your degree is 0, like what we have for the 7, if that is the highest degree you have, then that's called a constant. If it is 1, it's linear, 2 quadratic, 3 cubic, and 4 is quartic. So here, for our example, that would be x to the third, it would have been cubic. And then we also talk about the number of terms. One term is a monomial, binomial, 2, trinomial, 3, and if it's 4 or more, we just call it a polynomial. Poly means many. So for number 1, our degree, that would technically be x to the 0 power, right? So our degree here is 0, so that's a constant, and it is one term, so we have a constant monomial. For the second one, our degree here is 1. We do have a 1 above that x, so that will be a linear, and then there's only one term, so it's a linear monomial. Here we have another linear, but now we have two terms. Again, terms are split up by plus and minus signs, so this is two terms, so we'll call this a linear binomial. For number 4, our degree is a 2, so now we have our first quadratic. And we have 3 terms, and that is a trinomial. Next, we have a 3 as our highest degree, so that is a cubic. And we only have 2 terms, that's a binomial. And lastly, we have a 4 as our highest degree, that is a quartic. And we have 4 terms, so that is a quartic polynomial. All right, so writing in standard form, what we have to do is have decreasing order, the highest exponents first. So the 2x squared will come first. Then we will put the 3x, and then we will put the 1, and that is a quadratic trinomial. Next, we would have 7x to the third plus x squared minus x plus 64. So again, we're just focusing on our exponents, 3, 2, 1, 0. That's what we're looking for here. For the next one, we would have x cubed plus 5x squared. That one is almost in standard form. We just need to flip the negative x and the 28. For the next one, we'll have negative x to the third. Again, you always take the sign that's in front, plus x plus 24. So you notice that we skipped over x squared there. That is perfectly fine for that to happen. Now for 11 and 12, you have multiple variables. So we always will take the alphabetical order of these, and we just pay attention to the a's. So here, if you look, b to the third is kind of the highest degree, but what we're focusing on is a to the third because a comes before b. So we're focusing on all the a's first. A to the third. Then which one has a to the second? That will be 5a squared b squared. That's this next term. Then which one has an a? That would be 2ab. So we put plus 2ab. And then lastly, we have minus 2b to the third. So kind of the alphabetical order takes precedence over the degree. So we're focusing on the a's here. We have 3, 2, 1, and then that will be a to the 0 power over here. So the alphabetical order is what we do first, and then we worry about the degrees. So the same thing for number 12. We're going to focus on the x's. Which one has the highest x? That will be negative x to the third. Second highest x will be negative 7x squared y squared. And then after that, we only have 2 left. We have 13 and we have 5y to the third. So 13 doesn't even have a variable, so that's going to go at the very end. And 5y to the third is going to come next. All right, so you can combine like terms here with adding and subtracting polynomials. For addition, we are adding, and we really don't even need the parentheses. So you can just rewrite it just like that. That's your first step that I want you to do. Or you can just mark off the parentheses if you'd like. But when we subtract, you'll have to rewrite it. So that does look like 1, so I'm going to leave that off. So now we just combine like terms. So first off, we have negative x squared and plus 2x squared. So that will give me x squared. Then we do the 11x and the negative 5x. That'll be plus 6x. And positive 13 and negative 23 will be negative 10. So we just combined those polynomials, and you just combine like terms. Now, the subtraction is a little different. The first one, we are going to just drop the parentheses. For the second one, that's like a negative 1. And you know that anytime you have something like that in front of it, you have to distribute. So it's like we're multiplying a negative 1 to these. And all that does is just change the signs. If it's positive, it becomes negative. If it's negative, it becomes positive. And now again, we will combine like terms. That will give us x squared. That will give us minus 2x. And then we tack on that minus 1. So that's what's happening here. I'm just going to do a couple of them with you. I'll do 17 to start out with. So this is adding. So we kind of just don't pay attention to the parentheses, and we just keep right on going. So we have a negative p squared and a positive p squared. That's going to cancel each other out. We have a positive 5p and a negative 4p, so that will be a positive p. Then we have a negative 15 and 8, and that will be minus 7. So again, I'm doing this in standard form. I'm picking the highest variable first. For number 18, same thing. It's addition, so we don't really have to worry about the parentheses. 3a to the third does not have anything else to the third power, so we write that one first, and we've handled it. Then 6a squared, again, doesn't have anything to the squared power. We have minus 5a and another minus 5a. That does not cancel out. It's a minus 10a. And then plus a. So you see we're doing it in... Oh, I'm sorry. We have a minus 5a, a positive 1a, and a minus 5a. So that will be a minus 9a. And that'll be it. Now for subtraction, be very careful with this. I'm going to do 21 because it's one that might stump you up or cross people up. So 4c minus 11 minus 4c minus 11. So again, we need to distribute that negative for every single one of the subtractions. So the 4c minus 4c will cancel out, but then you have negative 11 minus 11. That's negative 22. A lot of people see that and they say, oh, okay, well, that's just going to cancel out, and your answer will be 0. That is not true. You need to be very careful when you're distributing. I'll go back up and do number 20 as well. You need to distribute that negative, so I copy down the first one. But this one, I will change the sign of those. So the 9r becomes a negative 9r. The negative 11s becomes a positive. We'll combine the r's first because r comes before s. And then combine the s's. All right, and then for the last few, now they give us multiple variables, like in number 24. So we have 8x minus 3y. We will distribute that and change the signs. And now we're doing the x's first because that's alphabetical order. Then the y's. and then the 13. Lastly, I'll leave 25 for you, but with a subtract for 26, subtract from that. Those are turnaround words. So we're going to do w to the third plus 6w squared minus 2 minus 2w squared minus 5w plus 10. So those are turnaround words there. Be very careful with it. Now we can go ahead and drop our parentheses and distribute this and change the signs. So we have w to the third, and then we have 4w squared plus 5w and minus 12. If you guys got any questions, feel free to